Hi everybody, Zach here for another episode of our flagship program, The Spideydude Experience. This episode is brought to you by our loyal patrons over at patreon.com/Spideydude Network. Pledge today and get both early access to content on the main channel, as well as entirely exclusive content, like brand new shows and commentaries for old Spidey stuff, including commentaries for the MTV series, for example, as well as the Gargoyles Podcast, and our Patreon first show focused on the Krakoan era of X-Men. We also want to encourage you to check out our other programs that are all available on Audio Edition. These are all over on Spideydude.com, and they're available on your favorite podcasting app. Shows like Clone Saga Chronicles, the show that started this entire network, Spectacular Radio, Spectacular Sal Buscema era podcast, Amazing Spider-Man Classics, the Slot Symposium, and the sister program on this channel, Make Mine Mayday. As always, be sure to hit the like button. It really does help us big time in the algorithm. And additionally, if you have topics you'd like to cover on a live show or in a recorded medium, make sure to leave a comment down below the description or shoot us an email at SpideydudeRadioNetwork@gmail.com. Finally, make sure to join our community and be alerted to all new updates by hitting that subscribe button and clicking on the bell. But to be clear, your viewership is more than enough for us. And if you want to hang out with us off YouTube, you can always go to our Discord, where we have all sorts of fun stuff, or you can join us on our social medias and follow us there. All the links are down in the description below. As always, we want to be making some references to visual aids and or live comments. If you're an audio listener, pay that no mind, but leave that 5-star review for us. Any and all feedback we will read on future episodes. Thank you, and without further ado, let's get rolling with this episode of the Spideydude Experience. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Spideydude Experience. I'm Zach Joyner, your friendly neighborhood webmaster and host of the program. And this particular episode, we're going to be talking the finale of the Gang War. Well, I am not alone as usual. My two compadres are here with me tonight. First up, we've got the producer of the program, the man, the myth, the legend. He is the host of the Books of X podcast here on the Spideydude Radio Network. He is Neil Bogenrider. Hello, Neil.
I just wanted to point out that I'm being held here against my will.
Indeed he is. And we have our art apologist himself, Mr. Adam Schingle. Hello, Adam.
Hey, Neil, be quiet. Chose to be here. If you don't want to be here, you can get out.
Let me leave.
So there is not going to be any Paul tonight. He is off watching Dune Part 2. It did premiere this evening, so I know he's watching that tonight. So unfortunately, if you're watching us on the Comic Bench expecting good old Paul to be back, he's not. He's been conspicuously absent since we started Gang War, and I think it's because of the Gang War personally. But anyway,
what a coward, huh?
No, he's not a coward. But we do have people watching us live here in the comments section down below. And yeah, I decided to switch it up. Okay. Give me some slack. I am doing my internews reporter tonight, so it's fine.
So how's it going, Ryan?
What's going on, Ryan? We've also got Walter, who's apparently,
he went to go do some business while we were working.
Yeah. So we're going to do some news here at the top of the show because I wanted to do a little bit different. Frankly, I don't think we're going to have a ton of things to say about the finale of Gang War after our recaps. And so let's first start off with there was a movie that came out. I don't know if you knew this a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it was a very obscure film. It's on the same tier as like a Neil Breen movie or The Room or Birdemic. Maybe you've heard of it.
Yeah.
It's called Madam Web. It's very niche.
Very niche. Adam, did you see the film?
No.
Okay. Well, looks like me and Neil are going to be the only ones reviewing this piece of wonderful cinema. Neil, what did you see?
I was considering it, but then I think
this deserves a commentary. Once we get through our commentary backlog.
Once we finish the MTV series, we do a commentary.
We do a movie and then work on our next series.
Yeah, that would not be fun there, Vinkman. Vinkman says at least Zach's not channeling his inner Muppet newsman. He doesn't need to have stuff drop on his head. So yeah, I will say this. It's a there's some choices that are made in this film. Yeah,
it exists.
It
okay, honestly. There's not a whole lot to say about this. Yeah, so let's talk money. Say
money.
It flopped.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
You
Adam
wanna
said it.
You
Adam's
want
right.
to flop?
I did want to flop, and thankfully I got what I asked for. Thank you very much, movie-going audiences.
If you want to flop, you got it right here.
This movie cost, I think the original budget was $70 million, and then it was revealed that it actually spent closer to $100 million to make this movie. The domestic was not good. It was 79 million. Or no, the worldwide gross was 79 million. I think Zach froze. That's not good.
Yeah, it says domestic is 36, international is 42.
So yeah, we're pulling up for audio
International though, that's interesting. More people overseas want to see this thing.
Yeah,
isn't that like every foreign country combined for the international release?
That is everybody outside of the United States and Canada, I believe. I think
they were more interested.
It may be domestic. They include all of North America, so that may include Mexico as well.
Okay.
We've pulled up Box Office Mojo for those of you that are listening on the audio edition before my internet decided to take a dump. So yeah, we've $79 million worldwide gross. That is not good.
We're also ignoring that the $100 million figure is just the production budget, not including the usually double budget that they give to marketing. Though, considering this movie only had one trailer and 2 TV spots, it would not surprise me if it wasn't a particularly big marketing budget.
And as I talked about this a little bit on the Comic Bench as well, but to condense that particular thought process, if you're looking for a superhero movie with the 4 Spider Women,
there's better options. It's called Across the Spider-Verse.
Yes, A, but also B, just watch the trailers. Because the entirety of them in costume is shown to you in the trailers. 90% of this movie,
bad.
98% of this movie takes place outside the trailer.
So that is true, but you need to go to the theaters for the best part of the movie. Are we doing spoilers at this point, Zach?
Hell yeah! I mean, it's been out for 2 weeks.
Okay, so they don't tell you the end of the movie where Ezekiel dies because of a giant Pepsi logo. You need to go see that. Like you can't make this shit up.
The product placement was so bizarre and unintentionally hilarious. My favorite moment was when Madam Web works directly with Uncle Ben. So yes, our thoughts about what's his name being Uncle Ben.
Ben from Parks and Rec.
Ben from Parks and Rec became Ben Parker.
I basically knew that.
Also, Peter Parker appears if you consider him as an infant, but not named because
uncredited.
Not named and not credited because literally he is in utero the entire film.
Okay, so from what I remember, this movie was originally pitched as Terminator with Spider-Man, where Julia and the other spiders were going to protect Mary Parker, so Peter could be born and I guess save the universe.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, considering how badly Ezekiel's ADR'd, I think that the Mary pregnancy plot line is just the residuals of that storyline leaking through.
Yeah, dude, there's scenes that are repeated multiple times. I mean, literally the stuff you see with the girls in costume gets repeated twice. Like they pull the same scenes and just recut them twice.
I want to point out. I want to point out that I'm not going to bully S.J. Clarkson, who's the director of this movie, because they did some great work on Defenders. It was on Netflix.
Yeah.
So it's not like they can't direct a good movie. I don't know if Shea Clarkson is a man or a woman, but I'm going to use gender neutral terminology until I figure that out. They can direct well. I just think that they were given a bad set of cards, and it's funnier that this movie flopped and it did maybe worse than Morbius. And I say that because Morbius at least had like the NARM factor of being like stupidly funny. Zach froze again.
No. It was stupidly funny.
You had the whole Morbentine thing, and then you convinced Sony to release it in theaters again to a loss. Like you didn't get that this time. All you got was like an Ocean Spray ad, and then Pepsi everywhere.
Yeah, as Ryan Reed does point out in the chat, we have Craven coming.
Okay, that one actually has a decent chance of being not good, but at least past like a movie.
Yeah.
Instead of I mean the fact that that's the bar that we're setting now.
It's a movie.
that there is the absolute bare effing minimum. Instead of it being a overgrown trailer, which is basically what Madam Web is. It's like a giant trailer. I mean, but also, I mean, Walter did bring up a good point. What's the make of the taxi? Because that is a beast of a car, considering it went through a lot of different buildings for reasons.
Also, I know it's a meme to make like but it happened. If you remember the Mr. Enter review of Turning Red, where he made it like this movie takes place during 9/11. Why is no one impacted by this? Yeah. They directly used Madam Web at least has a reason for critiquing it for being post 9/11 because like they directly used the surveillance state of the NSA to track down three teenage girls.
Again, talking about like the way they edited the scenes.
They took my spider.
After we get the scenes with the initial scene with the NSA, they basically repeat it and then overdub his lines. So
I feel bad for him because he's a great actor.
He's a good actor, but like stuff. he got owned hard in this film, metaphorically speaking.
Well, no, he did get boned earlier.
He got Pepsi'd hard.
He got Pepsi'd hard.
No, by the NSA lady who he slept with her to steal her password.
Oh, he you know what? He got his bone on. Yes, that's true.
Let's go, Ezekiel. Yeah.
Okay, quit. All right, we're gonna cut that. I mean, dude, like I remember watching it in the theater and chuckling to myself as we get the second scene with the NSA girl, the girl in the chair, and it's like he's talking, but the dialogue does not match, and it's like, oh my god, they
didn't try to bother to ADR him properly.
No, I mean it's laughable, and I think that. I mean, Dakota Johnson hasn't even watched the movie,
which I think is funny because
a lot of actors don't watch their stuff though.
I think it's funny that like apparently all the other three. What do we want to call them? Like just the Spider Women,
the Spider Girls,
the Spider Girls. Like apparently she's left them on read, and like she fired her talent agency a week after the trailer came out. Then she said something like a week later after she fired her agent. I'm trying to remember what it was. She said, "Oh, it was about the blue screen, like how she felt like she was losing her mind filming on a blue screen."
Yeah, I mean, I think they did do some shooting in New York, or no, it's Chicago. It wasn't even in New York. It was in Chicago.
They couldn't even afford a green screen. It was a blue screen. SMH.
Well, I'm not even going to that point, but it was the CGI was. I mean, they didn't. I'll be honest. I didn't really notice a ton of CGI. The thing that kind of also bugged me was the Peruvian people the spider people. They like literally put red body paint on them and then put these like vine things on their body to make them look like Spider-Man.
Well, I think it's funny because when I was doing the review of the movie for Crawl Space, I didn't realize that the guy who guided Cassandra into the Spirit Oasis thing.
Oh, fuck me.
I didn't realize that was the same guy who helped helped her mom give birth.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that until
Oh, you
Tyler
didn't?
really pointed out for me.
No, I knew that was the same dude.
I didn't. I
but
couldn't
like,
connect
that
those
was
dots
the-
together.
My thing about that is like his entire function was to be the shaman dude, right?
Sure.
And like instead of being proactive, right? He could have went and befriended Cassandra, and Cassandra wouldn't have had all the questions. And like, so Cassandra basically thinks that she's abandoned, but thanks to spirit realm shenanigans, she instead she could have saved her mom theoretically from dying, but no.
Wait, was it time travel or
I don't know. Like the way it was presented was it was semi quasi time travel. They have a whole conversation. She hugs her mom.
I thought it was just like a spirit journey inside of herself.
The other thing too, having recently read the Madam Web issues because I was doing it with my read through over the last couple of months, like the myasthenia gravis and her paralysis is just kind of thrown up as like the reasoning that she went to go down to the Amazon to go seek a cure because spiders. But was that a fart?
No.
Oh, was that a dog?
It might have been.
Okay. It, like they go down to the whole premise is her and Ezekiel go down. He steals the spider. He has like the spider bite him. And instead of having these three girls just sitting there running around being damsels in distress, maybe she could have brought back three spiders and be like, here you go, girls. I'm going to help you defend yourselves. Let's all get bit by these damn spiders. And then that would have been like they actually being proactive, right? But no.
Gotta save on the budget.
You never saw them ever gain their powers. All you saw was a flashback / flash forward of Ezekiel being hunted down and killed when he's old, actually looking like Ezekiel from the comics. And then, so the whole premise of the movie is Ezekiel's trying to not be killed by the Spider Women. And so now he's basically doing what you say, Terminator, going back, before they can destroy him. He's trying to prevent them from ever getting to the point where they're able to gain their powers.
Well, I think it's funny that like we didn't get a very good look at the Spider-Girl costumes aside from Sydney Sweeney's Instagram. That's where I got the best look at the costumes.
Because honestly, Sydney Sweeney seemed like she was the most encouraged and engaged. She had to beg to do the
because she thought she was in a Marvel Studios movie.
Well, that's true. I mean, she like campaigned actively to do a scene where she would drop down hanging upside down. She wanted to do that.
Speaking of the poor reception, CBR has an article talking about how
the fans have spoken. The Sonyverse needs to die. So
yeah, it's. I think Sony considers this universal wash, but I don't think. Adam, you mentioned keeping the rights. I think at some point. Do you think that this movie was? It might have been you. It might have been someone in the chat. It might have been chat.
Well, I do want to bring that up actually because like, did they really need to make this movie to keep the rights? Like,
I don't think so.
I mean, they could have put this in the vault like WB has been doing with movies.
Yeah.
And it never being released because they could have. I mean, they're right now. They're in the middle of shooting, or they're almost done shooting Venom 3. So
Venom's the only one that's made any money. Just wanted to point that out.
It lost money compared to the first movie. It made like $300 million less, but because it came out during the pandemic.
Oh, I forgot about Spider-Verse.
Yeah,
I don't really count Spider-Verse because that's like its own thing, and then everything else
it's
is
not
like
the same studio.
The
it's
MCU.
It's not Columbia Pictures doing it.
No, it is.
No, the Spider-Verse movies are done by Sony Pictures.
No, they're done by Columbia.
But Sony Pictures Animation's a different division. Like it's all under the Sony purview, but it's like TriStar and Disney. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
or not TriStar, Touchstone in Disney. It's two different slices of the pie. It's all under the same purview of Sony, but again, I mean, there's some people that are arguing potentially a legal case for Disney, which would be an interesting case to see. Essentially, the argument that some are making online is that it's creating brand confusion and potentially harming and damaging the Spider-Man brand, which is something that Disney could argue conceivably, as this has continued to be a law of diminishing returns.
On the other hand, you have the Spider-Verse stuff, which is arguably strengthening the brand. Oof. And I've seen people point this out. Do we get the Spider-Verse movies if the rights go back to Marvel? Maybe, but probably not as creatively interesting.
You could split the baby. I mean, conceivably, you could split the baby and say, "Hey," or what you could say is, "Okay, you can release Kraven, you can release Venom because they're both coming out this year." After Venom, what's in development? Nothing, live action wise.
Yeah, I was gonna say Spider-Verse, but yeah, that's not live action.
Live action. I mean, other than there was talk about a Morbius 2, but I don't think it made enough money to justify.
Mm-hmm.
Unless Venom makes a shit ton of money, which conceivably could actually happen. Venom was all. Also, I think Venom Let There Be Carnage is coming out next week on Disney Plus. I need to double check that.
Yay!
Hey, Jamie, will you double check that for me, Neil? We'll do it live. As is that the first one or the second one?
I think it's the first one.
Yeah, it's the first one.
I'm checking it. Here we go. Wait.
Or was it Morbius? I think it was Morbius that's coming out on Disney Plus. You know what? That's probably it.
Why would you want these on your platform?
Yeah, Morbius is coming on Disney Plus. Oh my God. According to Reddit. Hang on.
Tomorrow.
We could do all right. Patreon subscribers. So I know I've got like or hell, non-Patreon subscribers. Do you want us to do a commentary of Morbius?
This is important.
This is important. Let us know in the chat if you want us to do a commentary of Morbius now that it's on Disney Plus.
Well, right. You're getting it.
Right, he goes, I did not ask for that on my birthday. It's Morbid time. Da, 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 da.
Go, Morbid Rangers. Anyways, let's talk about another topic.
All right, so yeah, we've kind of exhausted the
Madam Web well.
All right, so there was a recent fan stream that occurred on Hasbro Pulse. I've included the link on the YouTube description down below, and so we'll throw up some of the new. Now, there's one that I go scroll down for me, Neil, on that. Not that. Continue to go down just a little bit more to those. Yeah, those right there, the Fantastic Four ones. I did not read Empire, so I forgot that this was a team. But they had released a 2-pack of Franklin and Valeria, and now they have released. It's the
slot
40th,
era?
the 40th or 50th anniversary of Wolverine this year, and they're releasing a series of 2-packs to celebrate that. And they are now doing a Spidey Wolverine 2-pack that are based on those two particular costumes. So if you want to complete that team, you can certainly do that. The Spidey, I think, is using the same mold as the Amazing Fantasy 15. And so yeah, it's a good little Spidey.
Yeah. I know people clown on Slots Run for good reason, but this costume looks pretty good.
I like that costume, honestly. As a Fantastic Four costume, that to me is like, I like that even better than Future Foundation.
Yeah, I think Future Foundation is a bit better just by virtue of it being a somewhat unique costume in Spider-Man's.
That's true. I won't hate on that element of it. It is a unique costume, especially because it has the in the negative zone version and the white version.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like it. I think a lot of customizers are going to like that body quite a bit. So then to throw up on the screen the creme de la creme here though was the Doctor Strange Morbius 2-pack.
It's Morbin time.
It is Morbin time. Speaking of Morbin, but it's not Morbin time. It's more Felicia. Yeah, so it is based on the designs from the 90s show. This is purely peak 90s show nostalgia right here with Doctor Strange and Morbius. They also talked a little bit about a couple of exclusives that will be coming out later this year. The first of which coming to Walmart is Hobie Brown as the Prowler. So if you missed out on the Prowler way back in the day, you can certainly get this Prowler. He's on the 90s card, retro card back. I will definitely be picking this up simply to put on the display.
Sorry, Aaron Shads.
Yeah, right. This is classic Prowler, not modern day Prowler. Slightly different redesign. He's also pinless. They've did some new paint apps on him. He's got a bit slightly different head sculpt, and he comes with the head swap as well. So he comes with the unmasked head. So that does elevate it a little bit more for me. Carnage is coming to Target as a Target exclusive on the retro card back. This is more of a modern take on Carnage, though. It's using the body from the Absolute Carnage with a new Carnage head and some new tendrils. He's also got some new accessories as well that are going to attach. So if you missed out on the most recent Carnage releases, you can certainly pick this one up. It's on the 90s card retro card back as well. Here's another look at Hobie, the Prowler. Like both of these, man, I am excited for these two particular figures. And I adore the 90s VHS box sets. I think they're awesome. So this hits me in all the nostalgic feels. They also announced another wave of figures that are going to be fan channel exclusive, like Superior Iron Man.
I gotta tell you, as someone who really likes the Superior Iron Man costume, hang on, I'm trying to find the window.
Yeah,
this pisses me off because like the mold looks fantastic, but then they just like slapped some like blue, like really light blue paint on there and called it a day.
To me, it would have there should have been a little bit more black to kind of because it
should have been silver. Or like make the blue more pronounced because like
isn't the suit white though?
It's like a chrome silver.
Yeah, this one, I think they said it didn't look. I don't know. This has been a big complaint about people.
This is way more like chrome and like metallic.
This went more swirly, plasticky in terms of design, and it again, the mold looks great. I like the head sculpt. This is a bit of and this is the second time they've done a Superior.
They made a custom mold for this, and it's like
no bueno. They also do they do include the Tony Stark head swap.
With the crown head. Yeah.
So it just that looks a lot better because that's something that breaks up the mask design. It just looks like a blob. This one was probably the weakest of the bunch.
Okay. The good news is that fortunately we have people in the aftermarket who are good at modifying these things and could probably salvage it because the mold looks fantastic. So that's like 2/3 of the problem is a good mold.
It's the paint job. I mean, it's the same thing. I would argue it's the same thing that we got with the Shocker.
They ran out of budget.
A lot of people would had went in on the most recent Shocker, the retro card Shocker, and did the panel lining in the
fabric.
In the fabric, so that way, it looks great. When people have done it, it looks fantastic. But Hasbro didn't want to, they cut the corners so to speak.
They
So
they ran out of budget.
They also did a new Icarus, which is a brand new mold design, which was interesting.
Trying to find it. Is it further up?
Yeah, a little further up. Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
It was the first one. This was the first one they talked about. So this is a really great looking Kirby-esque figure.
And that's Red Widow. That's Red Widow from Aaron's Avengers run.
Yeah,
right?
so the Red Widow has been announced for a long time. They announced that as far back as like, I think November of last year, and said that it was coming in a future wave. That was actually, they did a fan poll on one of the live streams, and that ended up winning. So it's been coming. It's been coming for a long time. Well, it's finally here. So these are, again, fan channel exclusive. So then I would hit the arrow there, Neil, on the sides.
Okay.
The right arrow. Just keep going. This is the Dark Winter.
The
from
Dark
Thor's.
Yeah, from Donny Cates' Thor run.
Yeah, so they basically took one of the existing molds, gave it a new head sculpt, gave it some new sculpting, and brought that back. So that's exciting. Yeah, that armor looks more pearl white. Radiac said.
Well, it's not even like the problem is that there's no shine to it. Like there's no dimension to it.
Yeah, there's no depth to it because of the lack of the paint job.
I'm really hoping someone on go.
Keep going. Neil's getting irrational. He's like, I'm going to skip it and go to the Wolfbane. So Wolfbane completes the X-Force team. So that actually finally completes that team this year. They waited a while to get the sculpting right on the arms and legs.
This is like a Dancing with the Stars bit.
It does.
Or like some kind of jazzercise video.
where they're dancing together. They got coupled up on Dancing with the Stars. That's funny. So yeah, and there's two more. Kazar got announced as well.
And
Cable. Yeah, the Cable one. A lot of people were excited about that because it looks like it's sort of based on the Marvel versus Capcom Cable. But
in the article, right?
Yeah, Kazar. That's the tease for I think Scar, a deluxe Scar figure. They always do a tease at the end of the live streams.
The article says like implying Savage Land, so that might be Shauna.
Could be Shauna the She-Devil. There's some people that think it's Scar. Some people think it's Shauna the She-Devil. To me, I wish they would have done the 3-pack with Zabu and Kazar.
And then Zabu is the Build-A-Figure, right?
Zabu is the Build-A-Figure. So if you're looking for Kazar and Zabu, which I have a soft spot. I love, and ironically, when Kazar and Spidey teamed up back in the day. Yeah. So give me that. But
so Venkman is correct that the paint job makes Iron Man look like an unfinished prototype. I'm glad that it's not just me who is like there's something wrong with this figure. But it has to be the paint job. Like I said, the mold looks fantastic. They just
it also could be it's a prototype, and it maybe in non-harsh lighting it'll look better. Sometimes I've seen that happen with Marvel Legends. But yeah,
that Photoshop looks awful.
That does look awful.
I made a mistake.
Ryan Reed made the comment about Morbius, which was plasma Felicia at all the 90s figures. So, but yeah, no. So that is the Marvel Legends section of the program. I forgot to make a marker before we started for the time coding. So yeah, let's get to the main event of the episode. We've been avoiding it long enough. So Neil, let's do the recaps of both issues back to back.
Okay. So what happened last time on Gang War? I forgot. Oh, Kingpin was there.
Kingpin showed up and then he left.
He showed up, he snapped his fingers, the fight ended, and he left.
Yeah, basically. We the last time on Gang War, we got to we had all the action figures lined up in a row on each side, and then they're about to fight.
Yeah, it's sort of like the end of like a Power Rangers bit where they're in the quarry and all of the villains they're on the same damn quarry set from 20 years ago.
Yes.
Didn't
Either in New Zealand or Japan.
What did someone on was it last night's stream said that it was like they were all, it reminded them of something else, like it also ended in Central Park. Secret Invasion.
Yeah,
that was it. Secret Invasion also ended in Central Park.
All right, hang on. I got it for this one. Hang on. Oh, where's it at? I know it. I have a joke. Hang on. Here we go.
Previous on Spider-Man.
I don't remember.
No! Good Spider-Man comics. Good Spider-Man comics.
As Uncle Ben would say.
Why does She-Hulk?
Comes great responsibility.
Why does She-Hulk have pants?
I don't know. Because Jazzy John gave her pants.
Why? Okay, I know I shouldn't be getting hung up on this. Like, I'm fine with superheroines wearing pants, but like in the current run, Jen is wearing not the bathing, like the onesie,
the one piece. The one piece, yeah.
She stole Carol's Miss Marvel
Yeah,
costume.
yeah. Carol can't wear one piece anymore, but damn it, Jen can.
But she got the muscle to pull it off. Anyways.
Oh, does Carol?
Anyways,
especially if, like Frank Cho is drawing her, she got some thick calves. And anyways,
Gang War part, I forgot. Written by Zeb
part
Wells.
5. It's a 6-part story, I believe.
Written by Zeb Wells, art by John Romita Jr., inks by Scott Hanna, and colors by Marcia Menez. The book begins with Spider-Man at the hospital saying, "Randy, I'm sorry, I'm gonna fix this," and then he goes. Everyone's back from the tie-in dimension, and they go off to Central Park to stop the secret invasion from happening. In Central Park, the Syndicate and does Madame Mask have an organization she's with, or is she just a bunch of AIM goons?
AIM, yeah, or she's Magia. She's supposed to be in charge of the Magia.
Oh yeah, because Count Nefaria and Silvermane.
Yep.
Anyways, they're both standing menacingly in the middle of a literal clearing in Central Park. And I guess they all charge each other, and the entire issue is just one big fight scene. Madame Mask somehow has Raven magic math symbols that he's using to control Shotgun. And Tombstone, I guess, punches him hard enough to smear the paint off, and I guess that breaks the control she has over him.
Yes.
And he goes, "No, it's me. I'm a Fed. Stop! I'm a good boy." FBI, open up!
Okay. All right.
Anyway, Spider-Man is just kind of wandering around. He's beating the crap out of Owl, and I gotta be on, man. This recap is hard, dude. Things are just happening, and there's no flow.
There wasn't really a lot that happened except for that, and then Tombstone is like
he's like, "No, I didn't want my little girl to be like me," and then he like tears the wings off of her costume, and then goes, "Well, you're going to be a monster to keep it. That's not you, Janice. It's gonna be me." To be continued right now.
All right. You want me to do the recap of 44?
Press the previously on Spider-Man.
All right. Previous. All right. Get right page. There we go.
Previous on Spider-Man.
All right.
Big fight happened. Everyone's sad.
everything.
Tombstone betrayed daughter.
Okay, that's good. That made me laugh. Okay, good job. Oh man.
So I guess again, it's just one big fight scene. Also, Jackpot and Spider-Boy are here for some reason, even though they've been missing for the entire event.
Now I do want to point out that because they have slowly changed the territories page to reflect
I do like that. That's actually a pretty neat logistical touch.
Yeah. So at the beginning of this issue, they have Madame Mask controlling one half of Manhattan, and looks like all of one of the other boroughs, and then the Beetle controlling the other half. Central Park's kind of a
And Harlem.
in Harlem. Central Park's kind of a neutral zone. They have the heat, which is like this one little section, and then two little sections that are controlled by spiders.
Who controls the heat?
I think that's a reference to Shang-Chi, but I'm not sure.
No, he's the Five Weapons Society.
I don't know. I don't know who the hell
Because he's in Chinatown, which is like on the other side which is on the southeastern side of Manhattan, right?
Yeah. So, and I bring that up because there's a reason we'll get to when we get to the end of the issue. But go on.
Yeah. So, anyways, one of Beetle's guys is like, double up on the squares, beat the crap out of the good guys. They're the only problem. Jen fight. Honestly, this should have been a She-Hulk book because she's like the only one doing anything in this damn book.
Yeah, I know. Trapster shows up for reasons. Trapster.
Oh yeah.
Out of nowhere, she hasn't been anywhere. I don't.
Well, she's been in the background, hasn't she? Of most of the fights of most of the fight scenes. She hasn't really said anything, but like I guess they had to make a paste pot patty joke out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But Luke Cage shows up out of nowhere.
As does Spider-Boy.
I want to talk about
Danny
Luke
Rand.
Cage. I'm so bored by this book real quick. I want to talk about Luke Cage, the Luke Cage miniseries.
That bonkers ass miniseries that came out.
Where he drives the Jaeger from Pacific Rim to fight a bunch of spider slayers.
Yeah. You know who's conspicuously absent from this fucking fight? It's Smythe isn't anywhere around. He's like, nope, I'm gonna just nope out.
Did he even like lose or like did he?
I mean, Luke Cage got the upper hand, and I think they defeated all the robots.
Is it like in Transformers 4 when Galvatron goes like, no, they're ruining everything, and he just leaves?
Well, because like Shang-Chi and Danny helped fight that, and that's part of the jokes that are made in this issue.
It's like we want credit for fighting the robots off panel.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think okay. Well,
I mean, I guess it's kind of funny, but it's like
I
got some thoughts. We continue.
The Luke Cage book is kind of funny because it relies entirely on the premise of like the police not noticing a giant invulnerable black man with a very conspicuously like revealing mask. Oh, that's definitely not the mayor.
Yeah, I can finish the recap on this. So
no, I got it.
You got it. All right. Yeah. Let's move on.
Anyways, Jackpot and Spider
thoughts.
Anyways, Spider-Boy and Jackpot are here, even though one of them only showed up in a one shot and the other one hasn't even been here at all. And then
he was over on Marvel Unlimited, I think, or something.
Was he?
Yeah, because there was a Marvel Unlimited story.
I'm not reading that. Silvermane and Count Nefaria have Spider-Man on the ropes, and then all of a sudden, everyone's favorite hero, Shotgun, goes, FBI, open up, and shoots his shotgun into Silvermane and Nefaria's chest and removes the paint, I guess.
Yeah.
Which I guess breaks the control that she has over Nefaria. Spider-Man webs up Madame Mask's arms, and then Jackpot uses her out of nowhere, I guess, just a blast of energy out of her wrist from her Omnitrix to beat up Madame Mask. Anyways, Rabble runs away to be continued to Miles Morales, I guess. Danny and Shang-Chi appear and beg to be in this book for more than 5 panels. MJ talks to Spider-Boy for some reason. I don't know.
Again, I think it's a Marvel Unlimited story.
Was this supposed to be like a bigger? I think it was supposed to be like a bigger plot line, and then nothing got done with it. And then Peter talks to Randy at the hospital. He thinks Randy's still in a coma, and he lets out a big cry. Fisk's law has been repealed,
yes,
which I'm surprised it took this long. And then
it's been like 5 years.
Not only 2, but that's long enough. Janice, I guess, ran away during the fight, but now Tombstone is the big man, the big boss. Kept you waiting, huh?
Listen. I do like that they're bringing back the pinstripe shirt, black suit, black tie. I love that look for him. And then the final page after not the end is they redo the map saying Tombstone's in charge of everything, and then we get letters pages and
which somehow, for whatever reason, Dan from Spider Talk got like half a page to like a
Because it's because he wrote an essay.
wrote a whole ass master's thesis
yeah. So
on how a married Spider-Man convinced him to have a kid.
All right. Let's not get into this.
What are we in space?
No, look, I mean, good on Dan for getting his shit printed. Although for some reason, every time he gets printed, it's in a mediocre ending of stories. But there actually is.
Do you think Nicolo's in on that? Is like, okay, every time the story is really mid, we'll just put Dan in there to make it happy.
I don't know if that's the truth. I think it's just a coincidence. But there is actually one more part to Gang War, which is the Daredevil Gang War issue that comes out next week. But that officially, in terms of Amazing Spider-Man, does end the recaps of the Gang War. So,
well,
all right, boys, let me do another marker right quick. There we go. So let's give our thoughts on the on Gang War finale, for more or less. Neil, what's your thoughts?
My grade overall is a C.
Yeah, that's fair.
Maybe a C minus, depending on how I'm feeling.
Okay, so Neil's grade is a C.
Oh yeah, the mystery. Radiac points it out. The mystery villain.
Oh, the purple boots guy, right?
Yeah, who was that?
I don't know. Maybe it was
that supposed to be? Yeah, was it her? Was it Beetle? Was it someone else? I don't remember like how that got set up. I just remember it was like, oh, this is going to be fun. Purple boots. To be concluded later.
Adam, what's your grade?
C.
Adam's grade is a C.
So Ryan says apparently it was supposed to be Madame Mask.
No.
Is it?
So
I don't know.
I guess that would make sense because I think she was MIA at the time, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because Hammerhead had car bombed her, right?
Yes. Yeah. All right. So
that would make sense.
And that was before she hammered his head.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say this: the ASM issues are C's. Okay. C to C plus. Now, if I give this overall a grade, having read all of the tie-ins, I think it would be elevated just to a B.
And I give it a B minus.
Having read all of the tie-ins, this probably will read far better in an omnibus than it will as individual issues. It is my inherent problem with this story. It's too big in scope. There's too much going on, and the common criticism about this is that it's, like Ryan Reed says, Spider-Man's a side character in his own book.
I made a joke about like She-Hulk being more of a character in this book than Spider-Man is, and I'm not really wrong.
And out of everybody, I'm surprised she didn't get this. What didn't cross over into her title?
Well, because Rainbow Rowell's title is more of a slice of life romance book, and this would have been like way out of place.
Yeah. Obviously, we're going to. So a couple of notes that are made in here. I do want to stress that. Let me open this back up. Because I saw getting back to the letters page, because they do make some notes here about the next few issues. So there is going to be some chapters in Peter's love life that are going to be addressed.
Yay.
He says with enthusiasm.
It's like, Harry, did you put your name in the goblet of fire? Dumbledore said calmly.
So okay, I'm gonna read what Nick Lowe says at the beginning of the letters page. He says, "Hope you enjoyed that old-fashioned everything in the kitchen sink gangland slobber knocker as much as I did. John Romita Jr., who has drawn pretty much everything ever imagined, nearly quit when issue 44 got even crazier than issue 43. We kept them with promises of t-shirts with big blocky letter words written on them. Look it up if you don't know what I'm talking about. We last referenced it in ASM 888. So maybe somebody can go look that up for me. Thank you for joining us as always as we get as we end what we think of as phase 2 of this Amazing Spider-Man run and race into phase 3. I'll give you a quick walkthrough of what's coming
the
up.
animal shirt. Because that was the issue that Gomez drew where Captain Felicia trained Peter back into fighting shape.
Okay, I got you. So I'll give you a quick walkthrough of what's coming up. They've got a couple guest artists joining us while Johnny and Ed bank up future issues. Stormbreaker Carmen Carnero is joining Zeb for a 2-parter in 45 and 46. Picking up the Aunt Anna storyline. Have you been reading X-Men lately? Oh, yay, Neil! You get to use your expertise on these 2 issues. Woohoo!
Wahoo!
Wahoo! Woohoo! It's me, Mario. Hope we don't get copyright struck for that.
Nintendo might be lawsuit happy, but they're not that litigious.
All right. Bringing Electro back into the spotlight. Apparently, she's going to be a big part of that. Todd Knock, who broke sales records with Zeb Wells in the Obama story, joins us for issues 47 and 48, where Chasm and Hallows Eve return to ASM. We pick up a long bubbling subplots. And then John Romita Jr. is back for our Blood Hunt tie-in issue ASM 49 before Ed McGuinness returns for the huge arc that starts with issue 50. He's already said too much, and now he wants the rest of us to talk. So let's talk. I'll be honest. In terms of getting from point A to point B, getting Tombstone as the head of the crime families,
we did
That's cool. Yeah,
that's cool. I'm down with that. Making him the big man. If it's going to be taken off the board, I don't mind him being a suitable replacement.
the one thing though that I'm kind of like iffy on is he's like, oh, I'm gonna. What does he say?
Oh, he's going to beat the crap out of Spider-Man next time he sees him.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of like, I mean, are you? I feel like Spidey should wipe the floor with him.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what their dynamics like now that Randy, Janice being taken off the board for a little bit, I think is not a bad thing. At least we finally get the problem is that yes, Randy he visited Randy in the previous issue, in the first issue we covered in the recap.
I forgot that he was Peter's motivational device for being in this goddamn story.
And that's a problem. That there wasn't enough Spider-Man subplots to carry the story.
There was no supporting cast stuff. It was just fight scene, and then like every once in a while, cuss at Tombstone and or Beetle.
And what really has annoyed me about Nick Lowe's tenure lately is that we're playing the hits. Having just read not too long ago the original Gang War story, which, by the way, is an absolute cluster. Because it started off with Tom and Ron.
Friends of the show. And then Owsley basically fires them in the middle of the Gang War storyline. So then he has to sit there and take the plot that Tom started and finish it. And then that's how we ended up getting that.
And then you get Daredevil in a fat suit.
Yeah, Daredevil in a fat suit, which is bonkers.
That's at least like funny.
Yeah.
It's one of those inherently absurdly moments in comics. It's like, oh, that's funny.
But it does feel like something that would have been done like 20 years before.
Like in a Superior Foes comic.
And like Superior Foes or something like 20 years before.
Yeah, like a Marvel team up issue. I've been going back and rereading Marvel team up, and it's very much felt like a Marvel team up type thing. You know what I mean? So again, what should have been a really serious story kind of becomes a little bit of a laugher, and then we get some really weird Hobgoblin stuff during that story. That's where we get Ned Leeds becomes the Hobgoblin. Fisk is revealed as the Rose, which is not what Tom DeFalco wanted. And Kingsley's not the Hobgoblin, but it's Ned Leeds. And then Macendale becomes the Hobgoblin. It's a weird. So Gang War was not a great story to begin with. The original one. We get this Gang War, and it's not a great story, but at least we get to it from point A to point B. It also felt like this was the Tombstone story.
Like this, we brought this up before, but this book has been like
Tombstone,
someone
Beetle,
else-
Madam Mask.
someone else's book with Spider-Man is like a guest star.
Yeah,
And only two of those are Spider-Man characters too. Madam Mask is like, huh?
Like like I said, She-Hulk takes like most of the heavy hitting for the fight scenes, especially in like the Central Park, especially the Central Park bits.
You know, again, look, I'll say this: John Romita did all the heavy lifting in these issues, and for
Hello, Dog.
hello, Waylon, for all the complaints that we've seen
Got that dog in him.
yeah, he got that dog in him. He's, you know, look, John Romita did good. I thought these last two issues were two of the stronger issues, honestly.
They're okay artistically. I'm one of those guys who's just like, I don't think modern JR is particularly great. I don't hate it, but I'm not gonna like I'm not gonna like pretend that.
I'll be honest. I wish I think with different coloring more classic coloring techniques, I think it'd be a different story.
Yeah, I like Menyes. I like Menyes on Gleason and McGinnis, but I don't think he's a good fit for.
He's not a good fit for JR.
Get that one Redditor who recolored the pages to do it.
Yeah, because he did a good job. And honestly, I think the pencils and the inks are strong. It's the colors that kind of ruin it for me. But again, they gave him a lot of shit to have to work with in this story.
Like a big fight scene.
The 90% of these two issues are fight scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, we can condense these stories down, but because we had to do 3 months of because these are 6 issues, right? Because we did 3 months of stories, started November, December, and January. Or no,
it's
December.
6 and then First Strike, so it's 7.
Yeah, so like 7 issues, which I don't think he did the cover for First Strike, but he did.
Yeah, he didn't do First Strike, but I'm just saying, like, in general, the story is about 7 issues.
Yeah, so like in the
Spider-Man.
trade paperback, it's going to be a 7-issue trade paperback. But again,
if it's not a hardcover,
I'll be honest. If the enjoyment factor for me is much bigger because I read all the tie-ins, and it shouldn't be that way.
I do feel. I think the main problem, because we're talking about the pacing all the time, but it's like that I feel like you really see it when you read the 6 ASM issues in First Strike. It's just like, it starts going and then it kind of starts lagging. And then all of a sudden we're at this like race to the finish line. The pacing is just it's like breakneck in these last 2 issues.
It's very similar to a problem Slot had.
Too much.
Yeah. Look, I think the pacing's an issue. And I don't know if it's
it's too fast. And we don't know what happened to Janice, because she
just ran away. That's it.
Yeah, but still, there's like a weird gap there, because like there's this really like Tombstone's like, oh, like I'm not gonna let you do this, and he's standing over and stuff. I forgot about this until I just looked at it. 43, like there's that, and then we just jump ahead. She's just gone from 44, and then White Router then's like, oh, what happened to her? And he's like, well, she, and it's like, well, where'd she go?
So
to a farm upstate.
It's like he killed her.
Well, I am gonna
put her down.
Too bad, Old Yeller. Sorry, Jan.
By the way, speaking of Old Yeller, you want to know a fun fact about Old Yeller?
Oh, no.
Not really, but go ahead.
The person that wrote Old Yeller and the screenplay for the movie, same person, is my daughter's great uncle.
Oh, that's cool.
Interesting.
And he grew up in a little town in Texas called Mason. And they have a statue of Old Yeller. And so I've actually been there. It's really, really cool. It's right in front of the public library. And it's got a bunch of bricks in front of it. And it actually has Governor George W. Bush and First Lady Laura Bush. So that tells you how long ago this was.
Okay, I heard Bush, and I thought, now watch this drive.
I just saw that clip the other day.
Anyway, but besides the Old Yeller thing, you made me you got my ADD running rampant. But I like I like Tombstone being in charge.
Yeah.
But I also kind of get the feeling that issue 50 is the start of the end.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I think we kind of all had that.
And when we get to 56, which is 950, maybe he's done. Which would be in line. I mean, so 48, 47, 48 is going to be with Ben Reilly. Good. Maybe we'll bring back the Chasm Dude experience thumbnail for an episode there, Neil.
Let's go.
Actually, that's a good idea.
So yeah, not looking forward to that, but we'll see. It's going to be an interesting few months. That'll put us in the middle of summer, right around the time for San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, and they'll just say, "Oh, hey, look at this."
They can announce the next run after.
It'll be around 950 and be like, all right, so here's the second half of the year.
Because San Diego's in July, right?
End of July. And
we only have solicits up until May, right?
Yeah, we're up to May right now.
Yeah, well, yeah, they'll yeah.
Radiac says, I know hindsight is 2020, but honestly, the entire plotting of this run has been all over the place. Had been discussed before, but he honestly thinks that the Sens bit should have been.
Yeah, I think that should have been like the inciting incident that instead of whatever crap Raven was up to.
Yeah,
agreed. It would explain what did Peter do as flashback, etc. Didn't lead to gang war, but the ideas have been all over the place. There's almost no consistency. What's going on with editorial? I don't know. Maybe one day we'll get him on the show.
So I want to clarify because I do think, because we're talking about the mystery boots person. So I looked back at that and the scene, it's Silvermane and Count Nefaria talking, and then all of a sudden Silvermane has lost control of his body.
Right?
Yeah, he's hijacked and he takes out Count Nefaria and he rips off his own head, and then mystery figure is there, and it's like oh you, and he's like oh you, and person says oh it's gonna be fun. We just see the boots, we just see like a silhouette. I think it is supposed to be Madame Mask because it would make sense with the whole sigil thing. There is like a little spark that goes off on his chest right as he loses control of his body. So I think it's the little seed of her magic misadventures.
I'm gonna be honest. I feel like the magic was like entirely unnecessary.
Yeah, no. Well, here's the problem: is that like the gang war thing? I think the groups were all over the place.
I don't again. Maybe this will read better in a few months when we get some more depth to it. But
it misses the context of like everything before gang war. So I'm not even sure like if you read it in like as it's in a vacuum, it's gonna look as good.
Agreed. And this is where I wish we had Paul here because I think he's been enjoying this stuff, but I just don't feel like that we are getting the meat. There was a lot of filler in these last 7 issues.
And I get the time.
Yeah, this was whatever. This is what the run was building towards.
It's like that's it.
Yeah, and we get to the point where okay, now Tombstone's in charge. Okay, but
like I said, I think pacing wise, it starts off interestingly enough, but we get this part right in the middle where we kind of lose the focus on Spider-Man, and that's when he starts kind of becoming a side character, and we lose. We talked about it last time. There's the issue where he's barely in it. He's in like almost 5 panels or 10 panels or whatever, and it's 20 pages, and then it's like okay, then we have these last 2, and it's a big fight, and that's cool, but then the pace is just it just ramps up, and it's like a rocket to finish this thing, and it's kind of like all right, wait a minute, slow down.
Yeah, the middle does not justify like the scale of the final fight in Central Park.
Yeah,
it's kind of collapsing under its own weight. And can you pull up that comment by Exiles real quick?
Yeah.
And we get we do get
Speaking of
more
which,
Spider-Man in this.
brand new
but-
subscriber Exiles. Thank you for subscribing.
Welcome to the family, Exiles. By the way,
He says, what makes Gang War more disappointing is that this seems to be the story that Wells wanted to tell the whole run, and it just fell super flat. Completely agree.
that's true because the first arc of the story is like Tombstone's is it Rise to Power? I don't know. Or
retirement.
Yeah, kind of
Well,
like
kind of retiring. Isn't he getting close? Doesn't he want to retire?
I think he mentions like not being able to protect Janice, and that was like a big motivation for him.
Yeah.
But like they were really gassing themselves up with like this gang war story is really going to be great. You thought Dark Web was big. Check out this brand spanking new event from Zeb Wells and JR.
Yeah.
Gang War. It's going to knock your socks off, and it's like that was it.
Yeah. It just, I mean, in terms of like spectacle, it's a big spectacle. There's a lot of
Sure.
fighting. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of toys being smashed together.
I mean, I'd rather have Sinister War as a big spectacle than this, I think.
Well, like
personally.
I don't. You guys aren't reading X-Men, I don't think. But one of the artists is Phil Noto, who to me has always had a very, or recently has had a very flat art style,
Yeah.
where it looks kind of like tracing action figures. And like his art has the dynamic movement of action figures being smashed together on the sandbox. And honestly, Noto would have been a better fit for this kind of storytelling.
Yeah. So did you get see the private chat?
Yeah,
thing?
I'm looking for it. Hang on.
All right. Because as Neil was setting this up, there's an old ad from the 1980s, the decade that I should have lived in instead of being just born in.
Oh, you're gonna be
Yeah,
one of those
yeah.
guys who's like, "Oh, I was born in the wrong generation."
Yeah, sometimes I feel that way. So it was a ad by Burger King, and it's this old lady going, "Where's the beef?" And it was Wendy's. I'm sorry, it was Wendy's.
Why do they look like gnomes?
That's how people looked back then.
It's
They're
magical.
These are from freaking turn of the century.
Well, they look like Star Wars Holiday Special.
I mean, they do, but it's just because they're dressed like little old ladies. And this was a big ad in the 1980s for Wendy's called "Where's the beef?" And I kind of feel this way because it's Ryan Reed says it was all bun, and Venkman says, "Where's the meat?" That's because there wasn't a lot of meat. There's not a lot of character building unless you're Tombstone.
There's no growth for anybody. It's
There's
just fight
no
scene, fight
growth.
scene, fight scene.
There's no growth. There's no depth. There's no character building. It's all to get from point A to point B. There's no repercussions to Peter going dark. There's no repercussions to Jackpot becoming a superhero. There's no there's very little conflict.
I didn't catch this bit that Shotgun when he was really be a Fed talked to Tombstone and said that they wanted him in the Silvermane and to die of old age and they wanted to kill their kids. It's like that's a good point. That like the book kind of feels like it's rewriting itself midway through.
Yeah,
it's very. Also, there was no build up to Shotgun being a Fed. There was no build up to the magic. Well,
I mean, Shotgun was an ex-FBI agent. That part I knew. But if you don't know the history of Shotgun,
who's a very niche character,
you don't have any idea. Again, this is where, and I've talked about this at different times. But y'all remember the little pullouts that used to be in the '90s comics?
Oh yeah,
no,
yeah, I do.
Where
I was there.
Yeah, Ryan Reed said he was there too. But in those books, you would get the little. It was a gatefold inside the front cover, and
what did it say? What did it say on the gatefold, Zach?
It said.
There you go.
And then you'd open it up, and it'd have a list of the characters that are appearing in the book, and give you a little bio of who that character freaking was.
Oh, like what they did with Transformers with like the power scale cards.
Sort of, yeah. And it would also give you like what happened in the previous issue, and it would give you a couple panels, probably. Notably, the first issue of Spider-Girl had these.
Oh, sorry.
Or What If 105, excuse me, had this. But they eventually went away. This was like 97 and 98.
Yeah.
But to me, I thought they were great because that way you could understand the characters that are in the issue. And if you didn't want to be spoiled, you could just open the issue and read it and then go back and be like, oh, who's this character? Oh, yeah, flip it open. Oh, there it is. It's Shotgun. And so I remember Shotgun from Spider Hunt, who's a Punisher character. Again, brought in because John Romita Jr. created him. So royalty check. Good job. Good on you, Jazzy Johnny. But
and like, okay, Brian brings up that it's Shotgun Lash Open Goblin Hunt.
yeah,
That's decades ago.
Yeah, literally 20 years ago. Has not shown up in a Spider-Man comic since.
But also the magic symbols to me feel like a not necessarily a cop out, but like these characters have no agency. It's just literally like, oh, I'm controlling their minds, and it's like that's cheap.
Well, it's cheap, but it's also like, okay, is this a reference to Rabin? Is this, some
people theorize.
I don't want it to be.
Some people have theorized that like this is how they're gonna write out Paul with the magic math again.
Fucking enough with the fucking Paul shit. Oh my, y'all gonna get me just.
Well, okay, I think most people are operating under like the assumption that all the toys will go back in the box. And so they're trying to figure out like what is going to happen to get Paul back in the box, or I guess broken.
Again, we'll see what happens with the romance plot that I guess is going to start with issue 50.
Who do you think is going to be the
romantic interest?
I don't think it's going to be MJ.
Will be MJ. I honestly,
friend.
You know what? Maybe controversial. Maybe Jed.
No, she's with Jack of Hearts now.
It'll be they set it up. It'll be Janice's lawyer friend.
Oh, fuck me. Who gives a shit?
Well, yeah.
I'm not, listen, like, I mean, the only reason I'm cussing is because we're at the well past the hour mark and YouTube's not going to hate it. But are you freaking kidding me? Like, who gives a damn? And Dex also has the good point, and I guarantee she's going to betray Peter to Tombstone for their final battle. Like, okay, this goes back to our interview that we just did with JMD. Are the characters driving this? Because Peter as a character is not going to date. He's dated this person's morally corrupt, right? Peter's already realized that this girl they're incompatible.
He's basically Tombstone's pocket, and
yeah, and he there's a moral bankruptcy there.
It was absolutely stupid though that like they gassed it up as like Peter's new love interest, and then like it was one issue, and then they didn't even break.
And so we're gonna bring a random ass girl that we randomly introduced random ass in a random ass issue.
You know what? Carly Cooper redemption arc. Let's go.
Oh, I mean, honestly, though, given the characterization that she did during the Spencer run, I wouldn't be opposed to that. Like, if you
when she got out of Slot's pocket,
yeah, like she actually felt like there was some depth of character there. We haven't seen her since literally the end of Spencer's run. She's been off in limbo land. So like, if they bump into each other, fine. Maybe you could have her bumping outside the coffee bean to tie into Weisman's book, which comes out next week. But damn, I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens in the next few issues. But y'all got me messed up, man.
Boy, that lawyer really pissed you off. I mean, lawyers pissed me off in general, but that one really got you going.
You got me going, man. Like I ain't gonna lie.
You know what, Gwen? Calling it. She's coming back.
We gotta bring Spider-Gwen to the 616. Maybe they can start dating.
No, I'm talking about the one from Spec Solicits.
Oh god.
Yeah, that's happening.
So
even though that's definitely canon and not just the Jackal screwing with people.
Yeah. So we'll like I say, we'll see what happens. But yeah, what we got? What's our final thoughts, man? We'll start wrapping this episode up.
Gang war, more like snooze war.
That's what Neil said. Adam, what are your final thoughts, my friend?
Oh, I don't know.
Bringing out the Harlem Honk shoe.
Yes, Radiac.
It's blanky mode.
You know, and by the way, I disagree with you, Radiac. I thought JR's stuff during the JMS run is Chef's Kiss good.
That's what he said.
Some people. Okay, so this is a good point. That I think it might be MJ. I don't know. It depends on whether or not they want to double down on Paul being like MJ's partner, or if they just want to relegate him to being like a support role for him.
I mean, given the buzz and the response to USM, maybe we are seeing some changes, but
I don't think it would be that fast. I don't think it would be.
Yeah, but I'd rather. The thing is, my final thought is I'd rather read USM.
But there's that bit
that's
from,
interesting.
There's that.
I'll be honest, I am going to make a statement here for a second. We are eating. Here's the thing: we are eating good between Ultimate Spider-Man. Hopefully,
hopefully, Spider-Man
pretty good with both Spectacular Spider-Man, and then we got the miniseries with JMD Mateus. Like in that regard,
also Ziggler's Miles run is good. So
Ziggler's Miles run is good. Slot's 2 books are, in my opinion, are actually really good. Like we are eating good on everything but ASM. So like it is a good time to be a Spidey fan.
It's time to end ASM.
maybe it's time to get a new editor on ASM.
It reminds me a lot of that monorail episode where Leonard Nimoy is there. A solar eclipse. The cosmic ballet continues.
Because as we know with JMD, Danny's editing.
Kazem,
yeah. And then I think Ellie Pyle is editing Spider-Boy and Superior.
And Devin Lewis just left Venom, so
now Venom is probably it's in a week.
That might be Jordan D. White's new stomping ground though. For the X-Books.
Yeah. So I mean, if we can get an editorial shift, maybe, I don't know. It doesn't feel like we're doing great with ASM. It looks nice. The art teams I think are strong, but like I'm not enjoying the book very much.
That's the same problem Slot's book had, where we got really spoiled by like Caselli, Immonen, Kim and Cully, bunch of European people in there. Jesus Christ. But the writing was so miserable that like it took away from the high quality art.
Again, if Paul was here, he'd be talking about how Slot's cooking a stew over there on his 2 books with Spider-Boy and Superior, and I don't disagree. But again, he's not driving the bus, and so I mean, look. Exiles asks a question: do you guys have any hope of this run getting better? Do you guys have given up on this run? He's just thrown in the towel. He hasn't liked this run very much, but he still wanted it to be better. That is a.
I'm interested in the Goblin stuff.
The Goblin stuff has got me. It's got me jonesing.
So here's my thought process: is that I don't ever consider something like completely washed until it's over. This run has potential. It's not going to salvage the whole run, but there's plot points that it could turn around. That said, at the rate the book is going and the rumor that the book is ending with issue 60, I don't think the book has the moment or the running space needed to turn around by the end. I don't think so.
Look, it'll be interesting to see who they bring in. I personally would rather them bring in I don't really need a veteran of Spider-Man right now. We need a fresh
bring in a Dugan or or a McKay, not like don't go back to Slot again, or we talked with JM DeMatteis and we asked like he wanted to do more modern stories. I'm not sure I want JM DeMatteis on ASM because I'm kind of wanting new talent on the book.
However, but I would say this, at least if we know with JM DeMatteis, it would be
a proven quality,
a character-driven book.
Right, but like under my hypothetical, I would prioritize bringing in a new blood over the old guard.
I absolutely agree, because I mean, Zeb Wells has been doing Spidey since the 2000s. So is Dan Slott. I mean, for the last 15 years, we've had a very consistent crop of people, and I'm just really tired of the same crop. Adam,
the thing about JMD is like he's had a shot at ASM, but it like led right into the Clone Saga, so he hasn't, and it would be interesting if he had a shot at it without that.
without having to write part 2 of 4.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, where he, now granted, it's a different animal because of how the twice shipping framing.
And that's why I don't think we're getting Slott again, because I think
Slott can't meet deadlines for one thing.
Slott has
I think Slott has admitted that, like, you know, it's tough. And I think that he did that already, and I don't think he wants to do that again. I think him doing 2 different books, like he's doing now, however long they last, I think that might be more his speed, I guess.
You know, and look, I mean, he's written, I think the at one point he wrote 10% of the Spider-Man books on Amazing Spider-Man ever. And, you know, nobody's going to touch the length of his run. I mean, in terms of years as solo writer of ASM, I mean, the only one that was close was Michelini, but not in terms of volume of issues. Right. And I just
basically think it's Slott, Bendis, and Michelini who've had the longest runs, right?
Right. Bendis being on Ultimate, not
Ultimate,
ASM.
yeah.
But just purely talking ASM, it was, you know, Stan, I think, had the longest run, then Michelini, then
I guess Stan had like 100 issues.
If you include like jumping across titles, Howard Mackie had one of the longest runs as well. He started on a web, he jumped to Adjectiveless, jumped from Adjectiveless to it became Peter Parker, jumped from Peter Parker to was writing ASM and Peter Parker, and then just ASM towards the end, and then he was done. I mean, he started, that was like a 10-year long run. And it's very similar to what Slott did. And by the time Slott got to the end, he kind of petered out. But Slott right now handling Superior and doing Spider-Boy, he gets to handle the stuff that he has his thumb on and his finger on, right? So it's easier for him to write that. He's not having to narratively drive a ship to sit there and be able to spin off other books the way he was before. And I think that that pressure of not being the guy has elevated his game.
No, in some ways. I think he's still got some.
There's still some deficiencies. Don't get me wrong, but I found myself far more enjoying his new stuff that's coming out. Right now.
Ryan also brings up the point that Wells is also back to writing TV now that the strike is over.
Yeah, and look, I literally, and it's funny you say that Ryan. I literally just finished Jerry Conway's run. He was writing both Web and Spectacular. And then there was a fill-in arc, and then we get JMD, which is Child Within. Which is around the same time as... So I've hit pause, basically, on my read-through because I'm doing some catching up on Marvel Team Up and then jumping back in to my chronological read. But it was because of him doing show running on a television show, he had to drop both his writing assignments on Spider-Man.
Also, real quick, I guess to crown off before we log off for the night.
Yeah.
Apparently, we didn't know this until recently, but Zeb Wells has been going through some personal stuff. Guys, I am begging you, please do not drag him through the mud for that and use that against him. Because, okay, I wouldn't bring this up if I normally I assume the best in people.
Right.
But there is part of me that worries that because, you know, we treat this property as a sacred cow, that we're going to go, haha, your personal suffering emboldens me. I am assuming the best in you guys. I'm assuming I don't need to tell you guys to behave yourself, but this is me putting it out there that we expect the best. We expect our audience to be on their best behavior, both when we're here and when we're not.
Look, so apparently he's going through a divorce, and I
wasn't going to bring that up. I wasn't going to.
The reason I said what it was because I wanted to say this as the guy that's been through two of them at this point. The amount of emotional turmoil that you go through is utterly horrific. And I can't imagine what he's going through, and I empathize with him. Nobody empathizes more about that than me. But if you are using it as a platform to launch an attack, don't be an asshole. Like,
yeah, I like I said, I assume the
I
best
suppose
out of
so.
our audience, and I like to assume that there's a degree of personal responsibility that we're all willing to take to not
Right.
use it as a weapon or as something to bash me over the head with. Please do not prove me wrong, because run may be bad, but that's not an excuse to dogpile on someone for something that barely informs the run.
And I agree. And look, there may be other shows and other groups that might participate in that type of stuff, but to me, that's just low hanging fruit. They're all going through some stuff.
We have expectations of our audience.
I have a better expectation. I agree with Neil on that. So I'm glad you brought that up. I do want to mention here before we wrap up, because we haven't really talked about this. We did briefly talk about it during the JMD interview, but Radiac did bring this up. What do we think about the Marvel versus DC reprints, the new collaboration? He's kind of hyped. There's 2 omnibuses that are coming out, including the reprinting of JMD's Batman's Spider-Man stuff. They also are reprinting, I think, the stuff from the 70s with Superman, Spider-Man.
All of it. Yep, all of it.
And DC versus Marvel, which, as somebody that owns that original trade, yay.
I don't expect anything more to come of it. If it did, it would be great, but I'm not going to ride or die on the expectation that there will be.
Maybe if sales are good, which I assume sales will be.
And the beef between, I believe it was the beef between Dio and Quesada that caused that kind of stuff to never happen
it was actually predated to Dio.
I think it was before
Paul Levitz and Quesada, because Quesada used to throw it, and I think it was intended to be lighthearted, good-natured jabs.
But the context is lost in text.
But there was a lot of bad beef. I mean, Quesada used to call DC AOL Comics, which was highlighting the turmoil behind the American Online Time Warner merger, which has gone down as one of the all-time worst mergers in history. And as a WCW fan, I'm still bitter about that. But I think
it's great that we're seeing this kind of cooperation again. Like, the old guard, I guess, isn't necessarily completely gone, but the bad blood is.
I know that DeMatteis kind of dismissed this, but I mean, Feige does have, as chief creative officer, he does have technical purview and overview of the publishing now. I think that the fact that you have a guy that was very friendly with Marvel being in charge of DC, I think that's created a big thaw, and I think that Gunn and Jim Lee would be willing to work with Marvel. And I think that maybe Cebulski, who has been suspiciously absent.
Well, I don't think he's been like the actual editor-in-chief since like 2020. Yeah. And he's more of just like the guy they still have as like a figurehead. But
it's really weird because the editor-in-chief doesn't have the same cachet as the publisher, and you know what I mean? Like it's not the same. But he's definitely the difference between Cebulski and Alonso and Quesada is Alonso and Quesada were far more prevalent in being out there. Whereas Cebulski has really taken a kind of hands off.
He's off in Europe finding new artists.
Lord.
And Anyways, I guess that kind of wraps things up.
Yeah. So we'll take a few more comments in the comments section down below. I'm going to read through, make sure that I was as angry a bit ago. So we really do appreciate. We are almost. I looked earlier today. We are at 580 subscribers.
Woo!
So we are ever so close, and we are also getting very close on the watch hours. So coming soon, I think here in a few months, we'll be able to do memberships as well as
super chats,
things like that. So
and
stay
linking to
tuned
merch.
for that.
So
we really do appreciate all those. I am going to be on the both the Vactorverse and Spider-Man Book Club. I'm going to be going back on there pretty soon, so that you'll be able to hear me talk. I'm going to be talking about Web of Carnage on Spider-Man Book Club, and then Vactorverse we're just going to talk about. I think I'll probably talk a lot about Madam Web and Spider-Man and media, and that'll be fun. Got some videos that we're going to be working on pretty soon. Me and Neil have had thrown some spitball ideas out there, so definitely be watching the channel for that. Hope everybody liked what we did last night. We kind of did a little bit of a shuffling around on the panel for Ultimate Spider-Man.
So, Dan Moore on ASM would be great. He's a DC Andy right now, so
yeah, he may be exclusive.
Thank you, Exiles. Yeah, we're glad to have you here.
Well, so tentative plan is next weekend. We'll be doing another episode of Make My Mayday. That's tentative. So when we get that kind of locked in, we're gonna I'll make the feed. So it'll be next Saturday, a little bit earlier than we did last time. Kelly has requested that we don't do 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern anymore. So stay tuned for that. Next month, no interviews lined up yet for the month of March, but maybe we can get something before the end of the month. I don't have anything in the pipeline yet.
And we'll try and have other content to mix things up.
Yeah, Books of X, we're going to try to get another episode cranked out pretty soon, as well as when we can get the people together for it, we'll do the DVD style commentary for MTV Man. We're talking about some shirts. What was the shirt that we were talking about last night, Neil?
Man,
something about
Old
Men. Oh, Brokeback Bugle.
Brokeback Bugle. That's right. So got some t-shirt designs that we're going to be talking about that. And this is the old prototype shirt that I'm wearing right now, but eventually I'll be getting a new shirt. So thank you guys for watching. We really do appreciate it. So let's start doing the outro there, Neil. All right. If you haven't already gone and watched the interviews, go check those out. We got the hang on, let me move that banner right quick. Thank you. We got the JMD Mateus interview talking clones, mutants, and proto-goblins. If you have not pre-ordered, you still got some time. You can do it online. The first issue will be coming out in April. Next week, we've got the new Spectacular Spider-Man issue 1. If you want to listen to our interview with Greg Weisman, go check that out. It is on the channel under the interviews playlist. Of course, we have our Books of X podcast. Like I mentioned, we'll have a new episode coming out very soon, covering, I think, the second issues of the Dawn of X?
Third.
Third issue.
The second issues have already been on Patreon.
They're up on Patreon right now. Of course, we have Voices from the Eyrie Gargoyles Podcast. They are going to be back, I think, next week with a new episode they just recorded. So be sure to check that out. Also, support the Kickstarter that Jen L. Anderson started that's doing the Gargoyles buttons and stuff. They have fully funded, so if you want to help with the stretch goals, certainly go over to Kickstarter. I'll include the link in the description below after the episode ends. We also got another episode of ASM Classics coming to you very soon. Check out ASM Classics. Of course, we'll have another episode of Slot Symposium in the month of March. And then, of course, you can check out the other show, Sal Buscema Era Podcast, as well as the Web of Music just released that episode this past week. So you can talk. They just talked about the first ASM, the music about Amazing Spider-Man 1. So the next month they'll be talking about ASM 2, and coming very soon will be the Child Within coverage. So they're almost to that point. They just are wrapping up the Jerry Conway run. So they'll be talking about Sal's run with JMD Mateus. So that'll be exciting. And then, of course, we have our Vault series, Clone Saga Chronicles, and Spectacular Radio. If you have not checked out those other fine programs here on the Spidey-Dude.com, go check those out. We always do appreciate it. And thank you guys all for your support over on patreon.com/Spideydude Network. Want to mention our patron subscribers right quick. We got Allison, Cindy, Ed, Georgia, Greg, Janelle, Jessica, Jurgen, Catherine, Kale, Laura Howard, Lump Moose, Master Dram, and Phoenician, Scott, Vanessa, and Vicky. Thank you guys for your support over on Patreon, as well as our spectacular patron, Sarah. Thank you to Sarah. And then our VIPs, Scott, Sebastian, and Vinkman. Thank you guys for your support. If you're listening to us on the audio edition, we also have our friendly neighborhood tier that I'll mention here at that point. And of course, we just want to thank you all for your watching. If you have not already, like, share, and subscribe. Be sure to let us know how we're doing by leaving us feedback on our various social medias, like at Spideydude Radio on Twitter/X, Facebook.com, Instagram.com, and Threads at Spideydude Network. And then, of course, if you're listening to the audio edition, go find us on YouTube, youtube.com/Spideydude Radio Network. If you want your voice to be heard on the show, you can always leave us a voicemail, 818-925-6631, or leave us an email address at the email address, SpideyDudeRadioNetwork@gmail.com. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And we'll see you next time here on the Spideydude Radio Network.